The following is brought to you by paulakers.net.
Hey, I have the wonderful privilege of introducing our first speaker, and he is a very special one. Katie, pay attention to this guy. He is awesome. Our friend Lucas was born in San Antonio. He currently lives in Bellingham, Washington. He loves the outdoors, mountain biking, and his wife and their 2 fur babies. With a bachelor's degree in engineering specializing in lean manufacturing, Lucas Holland is a force to be reckoned with. Right out of college, Lucas was thrust headfirst into the lean maniacs world when he was hired at Fastcap by Paul Akers, author of the 2-Second Lean. Paul has personally mentored Lucas over the last 8 years. Lucas has had the opportunity to visit Japan, tour Lexus and Toyota, and interact with some of the top lean leaders in the world, like Mr. Amizawa, former vice president of Lexus, Ritsuo Shingo, son of Shingo, and the former president of Toyota China, as well as Norman Bodek, who is revered as the father of lean in the U.S. Hey, in our I've got a pretty big screen printing shop, and we're 10 years old. What I've learned is lean is the way. When we hit walls in our print shop, we have to look often outside of the industry, and lean is the golden standard. And I'm sure you've heard of it. If you haven't, man, pay attention. I would also tell you his mentor in a little bit is going to jump in and be in here with us. And there's going to be a question and answer thing. So if you have questions that you would like to have answers for, you might write them down. So if you will join me with a warm welcome for my friend Lucas, he is going to take us to church.
So hi everybody, I'm Lucas Holland, and as he said, I'm here to talk to you guys about lean manufacturing. I'm going to show you how it's kind of like riding a bicycle. It's easy, it's a blast, and once you learn it, you're never going to be able to forget it. So not a screen printer. I'm from a company called Fastcap. We're in Bellingham, Washington, about an hour and a half north of Seattle. This is our building, and we have at least 800 different products, and we do a lot of manufacturing in-house, cap cutting, printing. We do a lot of injection molding. We have 3 injection molding machines, and then we do assembly on all our injection molded parts, put everything together. We do wood CNC cutting and assembly. We do 3D printing. We do metal CNC cutting. We've actually started getting into making our own injection molds recently in the last couple of years, and then we pick and ship all of our orders. We do UPS ground to the US, as well as entire container loads of orders going to Australia. My background, I got a manufacturing engineering degree at Western Washington University. So half of that was how to run a machine, how to program a machine, and the other half was lean, all the nitty-gritty details of lean. Since then, I've worked at Fastcap, and I've been in the real world of how to actually make lean work. That's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So in my time at Fastcap, I've been on 2 tours in Japan. I've toured Lexus and Toyota, as well as a bunch of their tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers. So those are the people that make the engine and bring them to the Lexus factory to put it in the car. And I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Ritsuo Shingo personally, president of Toyota China and son of Shigeo Shingo, one of the original inventors of lean basically. As well as Mr. Amizawa, VP of Lexus Japan, and he was president of Georgetown, Kentucky, Toyota. And then also Norman Bodek, he's revered as the father of lean in the United States. He brought all the original Japanese lean texts to the United States, translated them into English, and made them accessible to us. And then of course, Paul Akers, owner of Fastcap, my boss and author of a book, 2-Second Lean, which I highly recommend, recently won the Shingo Prize. So in school, I've had the pleasure of reading all of the books that you would pick up if you decided that you wanted to try doing lean. And I've learned everything that they have to say. I can tell you that if you decide you want to do it, you grab these books, you're basically going to end up creating a typical lean tools list, value stream maps, control charts, overall equipment effectiveness, etc. The problem is this stuff's confusing. But the good news is, this is not where you should start. In fact, if you try to start lean with this, you're basically just going to crash and burn. They're great academic tools for once you've been on the road for 10, 15, 20 plus years. But if you start with these, they just complicate things and they alienate your people. Lean should be easy, and it should be fun. 3 things I'm going to talk to you guys about today. 3 keys to implementing lean. First, you need to invest in training your employees. Train them to find problems and fix problems, and more importantly, empower them. Give them the power to fix those problems. Then create clear processes that are easy for your people to follow, to understand, and to succeed at. And then lastly, get your employees addicted, and yes, it's an addiction, to making their job easier. Now, when you tour Toyota and Lexus, they tell you one big thing when you walk in the door, and I'm going to tell you the same thing. It's that your problems are different than my problems. So if you try to copy what I have to show you, and you think that my solutions are going to solve your problems, you're wrong. It'll be like putting up a video, trying to do an oil painting, following it, and having no idea how to paint. And we all know that you're not Bob Ross. It's going to come out looking something a little more like that. So learn the concepts, learn how to paint. Don't try to copy me exactly. My role at fastcap is I'm in charge of employee training and development, so lean coach. So I'm out on the floor working with people, helping them learn how to see problems, how to solve problems, and how to implement solutions. Then I'm also in charge of production line development. And then I'm head engineer and I work on product development. We come out with 5 to 10 new products every year. And then I am in charge of general operations at fastcap. So to start with, I want to tell you guys about my wife's job. My wife sells sheets and linens, and often she has to make a sale, find sheet swatches that she can send, color samples, etc. And her company doesn't really do lean. And so often she'll go over to find the swatch, and the rack will be a mess. It takes her forever to sort through it. And then when she finally figures out that, oh, the one I needed, it's not even there. We didn't have a good system for reordering. And so she comes home just hair on fire, frustrated, like, I could have made this sale, and we didn't have the stuff, and they won't let me fix it. Yeah, she eventually got it fixed, but it took her fighting and saying, hey, we need a system. And still someone else came in and they said, okay, here's a system, this should work better. Me, on the other hand, all I do all day is make changes. So when I come home, I'm not frustrated. I feel accomplished. I feel like I've done something to make my job easier, and I want to go back to work the next day. And it's fun, and it's easy. Sometimes it's as easy as just changing the way you put stuff in a bin, because it makes your life that much easier. Invest in training your employees to fix what bugs them and empower them to make those changes. So when they come home, they feel like they accomplished something, not like their hair is on fire and they're frustrated. At fastcap, how do we do that? Well, our mornings are a little bit different than pretty much any other company I've ever been to. For the first hour of our day, we don't actually accomplish any work. First, we have cleaning tasks. About 1/3 of the company each week has a cleaning chore that they'll do. And then after cleaning, or if you don't have a cleaning chore, the entire first half hour of the day, we pay people just to make improvements. And every day, everybody is trying to make an improvement. And no, they don't all succeed, but the point is they're trying. They're out there trying to figure out how to make their job easier. And no, it's not just willy-nilly, go change whatever you want. We do have a process. If you want to make an improvement at fastcap, first you have to check with 2, we call them stakeholders. Stakeholders, anyone else who is involved, does the same process you're trying to make a change to. We've got to make sure that Joe's not left-handed, and so he's just trying to move all the tools to the left-hand side, right? Although we do have a left-handed guy recently who started putting little magnet things so he can switch the stations back and forth. That works for people. And then they have to check with one leader, just to make sure that their idea makes sense. We haven't tried it before, but more importantly, just to get advice on how to accomplish it. Then after that first half hour, we go to a morning meeting. Morning meeting is a key way to invest in your people. I hear a lot of people push back because it's expensive. Get all your people standing in a circle and doing a meeting, right? But this is an investment that pays dividends. Trying to learn to do lean without doing a morning meeting, it's like trying to learn to ride a bicycle without owning a bicycle. It's just not going to work. You've got to get your people together. It can be short, it can be 5 minutes, but you've got to get everyone on the same page. So at fastcap in our morning meeting, we use it to train people and teach concepts. Everything you guys learn in this entire presentation, every single employee at fastcap knows it cold. Every morning we go over fastcap's principles, some of Deming's principles, some of Taiichi Ohno's principles. And people raise their hand and they answer these or they get called out. I say values and emotions are equal to, and I point at someone and they say shortening one's life. This is one of my favorite ones. After teaching concepts, we use the morning meeting to do what we call keeping the rope tight. So we see a company kind of like a sailboat. We're all on one team and we're trying to get somewhere forward and we're trying to get there fast, right? And to get a sailboat to go somewhere, you got to keep all the ropes tight. I don't know if you guys know, but when you're sailing, there's these little things on the sail called tells. And if you get the sail to just the right tightness, those tells stop flapping around and both of them kind of stay in the same place. And that's how you know you're getting the best efficiency out of your sail. So at fastcap, we don't worry about a lot of KPIs, key performance indicators, but the one thing we do is every morning, beginning of the meeting, we go over what we call our dashboard. So we go over what our sales numbers were the day before. We go over each of our departments, whether they're caught up. Caught up means that every single order that we've received has been shipped to the customer. Then we go over whether there were any mistakes that we caught internally. We go over whether there were any mistakes that escaped to a customer, what they were, how it happened. We go over our Kanban cards, which you'll learn about in a minute, and whether we had any issues, any missing, anything like that. Our back orders. Then we go over missing tools. In our entire building, huge building, if there's a single tool out of place, not there, we bring it to the morning meeting, and we figure out where it is, or we get it replaced, because we don't want to struggle to work. We want stuff to be there. And then we go over what we call housekeeping. And housekeeping is how we really keep the rope tight. So this is our dishwasher at fastcap. And we have a standard for our dishwasher because we have standards for everything, because everything is a process. And we realized that when you put a dish in, it doesn't really take any more time, just a little more thought to put all the dishes together. So all the spoons are in one section, the forks are in another, all plates of one size are all together. And then when someone has to come up after you and unload it, it's easy. They're not picking out spoon, fork, spoon, fork, spoon, fork, taking forever. It's just one big grab, right? And so if this gets done wrong, and the dishwasher gets loaded wrong, what we do, we just send a picture to our morning meeting, and we go over it, and we retrain that standard. We say, hey guys, these plates are not in there right, there's forks in with the spoons, and we pull that rope tight, and we keep our boat moving forward the way it should, not letting anything fall apart. Now, everybody at fastcap leads our morning meeting. And I've heard it said that most people who think they're more scared of spiders are actually more scared of public speaking. But your company, it's a nice, safe place to get people out of that scared zone and get them up there learning those skills. Let me tell you, if I didn't get up in front of fastcap about once a month and lead this morning meeting, I would not be as comfortable standing here in front of you guys talking today as I am. It really grows people. And not only that, but it has more benefits. When people are used to standing up and leading a morning meeting and public speaking once a month, you think when they get on the phone with your customers, they're going to exude that confidence? They're going to make those customers trust them? Yes, because they feel confident. They speak confidently. And on top of it, imagine if you had a customer who had a problem. Instead of getting a long phone conversation, having explained how to fix it, or a multi-paragraph email, someone just shot them a quick email that had a personalized video and said, here, watch this, we made you this video to help with your problem. Happens all the time at fastcap. Also in our meeting, we share our improvements. So we have a chat on the Signal app, and every time someone makes a cool improvement, they get to brag about it and share it and put it on that app. And then in the meeting, we pull some of these videos up, we show them, and so it inspires people. And people say, hey, I like how you fixed that. I could use that on my problem here. And then Paul, the owner, wherever he might be in the world, he's able to get in there and build that addiction by saying, oh my God, that's genius. Can't believe you came up with that. I love it. And these improvement videos, they can be fun. I mean, yeah, some of them are, hi, I had this issue, so I did this, and now I don't have that issue, and I eliminated this waste. But some of them, people really have a blast making them.
It's just such a huge waste of motion. We eliminated the waste. Thanks, you guys. You fixed what bugged me. Now you're saving time and motion.
And people enjoy doing this. So what these are is they are 2-second improvements. And continuous 2-second improvements are the bread and butter of Lean. What is a 2-second improvement? It's anything you can do that every time you walk up to that thing again in the future, it's going to save you 2 seconds. It can be putting a label so you're not opening 2 drawers. It can be making a home for something so it's not way over there and you have to search for it next time. 2 seconds, everybody can figure out how to save 2 seconds. It's easy. And it's achievable. I know you guys hate numbers. Everyone hates numbers. No one wants to listen to a speech of numbers. So I promise these are the only numbers you're going to listen to, okay? If you have one employee who makes 1 2-second improvement every day and benefits from it once a day, in 3 years, he's going to save himself 169 hours. Now, if you have one employee making 1 improvement every day, and you have 15 people and they all benefit from it, It's going to save you 2,500 hours in 1 year. So that's if you listen to me and you go home and you say, I'm going to do lean, and you start making improvements every day, but you don't get your people involved. You're going to save 2,500 hours. That's awesome. But if you get all 15 of those people making one improvement every day, that 2,500 hours, it becomes 100,000 hours. It's about getting everybody involved and doing this achievable thing, making small improvements. And it's not just in manufacturing. Even the DMV. We all hate the DMV, right? No one wants to go to the DMV. The DMV in Bellingham adopted some of these lean principles, and they've cut their wait time down from like 45 minutes to an hour and a half, or I don't even know, I'm leaving, it took too long, to 3 to 5 minutes. Now I don't mind going. It's just that easy. So what makes an improvement? fastcap, we have 4 qualifications for what make an improvement, and everybody in our company knows these. And they go in order. So the first one is safety. If you're trying to make something faster and you're making it less safe, we will not do it. But if you can make a process safer, that's going to save us money in the long run. So safety is first. Next is quality. If you can make something better quality, more people are going to want it, our sales are going to go up. So if you can improve quality, it's an improvement. But if you make it faster at the cost of quality, we will not do it. Next, is it faster? No, it's not. It's simpler. Complicated things, convoluted things, they take forever to train. They're easy to screw up and make defects on, easy to not remember what you're doing. We want our processes to be as simple as possible. So if you can simplify it, that's an improvement. And then the last one is speed. If you can make it faster without hurting any of the others, we like it. But that's not even our number one goal. The other thing that can qualify you as an improvement is if you can eliminate one of the 8 deadly sins of waste. So these are something else we go over every single day. When someone recites them, they even tell a story to put the 8 deadly sins of waste in. And so what they are, and I'll tell you the story, is first, if you make too much of something. So you get your machine up and running, you're in the flow, you're making stuff, you don't want to stop, you don't want to change your setup, you want to make a bunch. So now you got a big stack of stuff, right? What do you do with your big stack of stuff? Well, you got to transport it somewhere. And let me tell you, the customer's not willing for you to pay to drive your big stack of stuff around the building over and over. And then you put it into inventory. And your customer's also not willing for you to pay someone to manage your inventory, know where all your stuff is, heat the extra space in your building for the inventory, clean that space. That's a waste. They don't want to pay for that. And after it sits in inventory, finally, you get someone that wants it. So you go and you pull it out of inventory, and what do you usually find? Well, it's been sitting there too long. It's defective, it's dirty, it's stained. You changed your design since then. So now, instead of giving it to the customer, you have to over-process. You already did the process. You made the stuff. If the customer asked for it, you made it and you gave it to them, that would have been processing. Having to take it out of inventory and do more work to it, that's over-processing. Meanwhile, well, your customer just ordered it finally. So they're sitting there waiting, not happy with you, wanting their stuff because you're running around trying to fix it. You're wasting your motion because you don't have a good process for fixing these defects, so you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, right? And meanwhile, you're losing your potential. You could be using your brain for useful things like finding improvements instead of fixing stupid defects. No one wants to fix defects. So if you can eliminate any one of these, it's also an improvement. Next point, create clear processes. Processes that are easy to follow and easy for your people to succeed at. Because everyone, when they come to work, they want to go home feeling successful. Not like, oh, I screwed up and I got yelled at, right? So let me tell you a story. We had an employee one time, and we're just going to give him a generic name. Let's say Todd, okay? And we had a CNC machine we sold, a $40,000 metal cutting CNC machine, and we were selling it to upgrade to a new one. And so we got a buyer. The buyer showed up in our parking lot, drove his flatbed truck in there, and Todd was supposed to take the CNC machine and drive it out of the building and put it on the truck. And as Todd came around the corner to put it on the truck, what do you guys think happened? Fell off the forklift, crashed in the parking lot, shattered into 20 pieces. Useless, completely useless. Actually, the guy still took it. We didn't have to pay for recycling. He gave us $10 and he took it away because he was already there with the truck. So, fired, right? Who wants to fire Todd? I want to fire Todd. What a dummy. But the point is that no, instead of firing him, we asked ourselves, did we have a clear, easy process? Did we do everything that we had done as leaders to help him succeed? If you guys never read the book too, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, great book. It says exactly that. And so we looked at ourselves and we said, no, you know what? This is something we don't usually do. We don't usually sell CNCs and forklift them into the parking lot. And we didn't have a process. So you know what? Todd wasn't even in trouble. We came up with a process. We trained him and we trained everyone. Hey, if you're doing something like this is how you get the information. This is how you make sure it goes right. Now, while our morning meeting is the most important part of Lean at fastcap, it's not actually where we started. We started Lean in the bathroom. Why? Well, because I think we've all used a bathroom at least once, right? Now, raise your hand if you've never had to clean a bathroom ever in your life. We need to talk later. I want to know what you're doing right. But pretty much everybody has cleaned a bathroom. So it's a great place to start creating standard operating procedures. Lean is all about having processes so you can improve those processes. If people can't follow the process for how to clean the bathroom, you really think you can trust them to follow the process for how to make stuff you're going to ship to a customer? No, it's a great place to train people on processes. There's 2 steps to making improvement, we say. Create a standard, and then improve on the standard. If not everybody is doing the same process, you have no ability to improve the process that people are doing. None at all. An improvement we've made is that QR code you just saw there. So instead of this confusing 8-step process that you just had, let's be real. Nobody really wants to make this. You got to pick out the perfect 8 pictures, and then you got to figure out what words go along with them so that the process gets done, and it gets done right, but it's not too wordy, and people still want to read it, and people are still going to do the process, right? Because you look at that, and you're kind of like, I know how to clean a bathroom. Yeah, I'll start with the handles, and I'm not even going to read all that. So instead of that, we've changed everything to QR code videos. So now instead of that, there's a little QR code on the bathroom drawer, and you can scan it, and you can just play it on your phone while you're doing it. It doesn't have to take any time, and it shows you everything you need to know. And it's easy to make. When you make a process, you just pull out your phone, and you say, hey, record me. I'm going to teach you how to clean a bathroom. So first we're going to scrub this, then we're going to do that, and then you send it to the QR code printer. Little Bluetooth printer, done. Now, that thing that you saw the QR code on the back of, that's a Kanban card. So at fastcap, we run everything off Kanban cards. Kanban card is a signal. It basically means something needs to happen. And the cool thing about Kanban cards is they're accessible, they're easy, they're clear. Everyone can succeed at using them. We don't have any fancy computer systems that people have to struggle to use. So this one is a Kanban card for an 11th finger. It's a push stick product that we have. And basically, we have what we call a grocery aisle. So when we get an order, we try to keep a certain amount of stuff built, but just a small amount, so it's not taking up a ton of space, because the more you have built, the further someone has to walk to get all the stuff. That's a waste of motion. But we never want to run out. So we have 2 bins, and these are our 11th fingers. And basically, when someone takes the very last one out of that front bin, they pull the bin out, they pull the Kanban card, they pull the next bin forward, so there's still some there, and then they deliver that Kanban card, and it goes back to our production team, and it tells our production team, hey, you need to assemble more of these. And right on the back of that Kanban card, that's where that QR code is. So whoever gets it can scan it, and they know exactly how to assemble more of them. And then when the production team's building them, and they go to the pallet with the 11 fingers, and they start to get low, there's another Kanban card there. And that one gets delivered back to our injection molding department. And it tells them, hey, the pallet's low, you guys need to make more 11th fingers. And at fastcap, absolutely everything has a Kanban. So you go in our flammable cabinet, every item that you might run out of. We never run out because there's a Kanban card. Toilet paper, I think we all learned during COVID, you don't want to run out of toilet paper. We got a Kanban card on our toilet paper. Nuts and bolts, every build station, everywhere we're doing assembly, you just have a small amount of nuts. When you get down to 50 or 100, whatever the right number is, there's a Kanban card and you pull it. And the cool thing is, they're easy to succeed at. If an employee notices, hey, I'm building way more of these now, it's easy for them to take it and just change the number on there and say, we're going to reorder at 100 instead of at 50. Our CNC machine, if you break a bit, you go to put a new bit in, we're never running out of those either. Even those have Kanbans. All the way down to the Post-it notes in the office. Someone says, hey, we need to use Post-it notes. Anyone can grab a blank card, they can write on it. They can say, hey, when we're down to 3 sets of Post-it notes left, someone reorder 20 more sets of Post-it notes. They put that card there, they put 3 sets in a bag with it, done. That easy. people can succeed at it. Now, if you want people to succeed at your processes, you have to be on the shop floor working with them. I've been to a company where they read all the lean books. They were really excited that we're going to do lean. And when we went to tour, they brought us upstairs and they showed us their lean office they had just built. Spent a bunch of money building this office. It had 4 walls. Each wall had a whiteboard, so they had all the whiteboard space they could possibly want, right? And they had a whole lean team. And they were going to sit up there and they were doing value stream mapping. And they were saying, hey, I think we're going to move this machine over here, and then this inventory is going to go over here, and I think we can save our forklift like 1.5 miles a year by making these changes. And that's all great. Like I said, they're great tools for down the road once you've been doing lean for a while. But the problem was, when you actually walked down on the shop floor out of the office, all their people were basically running around screaming, help, I don't know what to do, I don't know where my tools are, I'm lost. And the people who should have been helping them, they were upstairs in the office making changes that weren't really helpful, because when you moved the machine, all of a sudden they were just more lost. They weren't trained. No one was working with the people doing the work. You need to be down on the shop floor working with your people, helping them see waste and helping them figure out how to fix what bugs them and fix their problems. That's how you make real progress. What's a great way to do that? We call it 3S'ing. 3S'ing is a perfect way to start your morning and get an improvement done. So what is 3S'ing? Well, the first one is the easy one. You sweep. Everyone knows how to sweep. You just clean up your area, get it ready to go. Then once you're sweeping, you can sort. So sorting means to take the stuff that you have, figure out what you don't need, because stuff in your way, it's just stuff you're sorting through every time you go to do the work. So get rid of that and set stuff in order. Make sure you have clear organization, and then you can standardize. Create a standard that's easy to follow. Take the stuff that's good, lay it out by size, type, whatever, make sure you know how to find it, and there's never a struggle. Sweep, sort, standardize. Great example of how to apply that, be a bin of wrenches. Everyone's got a bin of wrenches, right? So in the morning, take your bin of wrenches, dump it out, you sort them by type, get rid of duplicates, get rid of defective ones, and then you standardize them. Make a nice set of something that you want to use. So this is our wrench case at fastcap that recently got 3S'd. Now instead of a bin of wrenches, I want to use this. Like, I literally want to find an improvement that requires a wrench because I want to use that. And at fastcap, everything has been 3S. So every tool, everywhere, has a home, it's clear, and that's why in the morning meeting when we go over missing tools, we know if anything in our entire building is missing. When you start 3S'ing, you're going to automatically find yourself accomplishing another key lean concept, which is a place for everything and everything in its place. So at fastcap, literally every tool is cut into a piece of foam, has a home, has something. And so we're never searching. When you go to the work, you're never looking for it. So I've been to another lean company that they were actually really good at lean. They had some awesome improvements they'd made, big gang drills that made drilling really fast and easy. You could get it done fast. But when you actually went out there and you were doing the work, you'd go to screw a screw in and the screw gun wasn't there. And so then you run over like 2 stations over and you're like, hey dude, hey, can I borrow that screw gun? Yeah. You take it over, you put your screw in, and by the time you get back to him, he's just standing there waiting like, yeah, I needed that screw gun. It's these little basics that are the most important part. And so we've actually even color-coded our tools at fastcap. So you'll see all these tools here, they have red on them, right? Well, we took our warehouse evacuation map. We legally have to have it posted everywhere in the warehouse anyway, and we put colors on it. And so we said, hey, if the purple tool, it goes in the purple area of the warehouse map. So when I find a purple tool, I run it back to the injection molding guy and say, hey, you must be missing this tool. You know where it goes, right? He's like, yes, thank you. It's just that easy. To show you how important these basics are, here's a fake little example. This is Darby, he's just trying to unscrew a connector. If he has to walk around the corner, the tool he wants is missing, look in another drawer, grab out some different tools, and walk back over there, just to get the tools on the part, it takes him 30 seconds. But if he has it set up where the tools are right next to him, and he just has to grab them and put them on there, 8 seconds. That's how much waste you can save, just by 3S'ing and making everything a home. Another thing we work with people on to make improvements is eliminating tribal knowledge. So tribal knowledge is when only a couple people know something. And that's not a clear, easy process that people can succeed at. Because the people that know it, they have to remember it. They're having a bad day, they forget something, they screw up. And if they're not there, if they're out sick for 2 weeks or whatever, all of a sudden no one can do it. It's like, this is our CNC machine. It's an $80,000 CNC machine. And if we don't know how to run it, right on the back of the door shows you how to start it up, how to run a program, what to do if a tool breaks. Even tells you how to write a new program for a new product. And if the machine breaks, it tells you who to contact, who can fix it. It actually has one guy for easy fixes and one guy for complicated fixes. It's just that easy. Now anybody can access it. And this goes with a concept that anywhere you ask the question, that's where the answer should be. Imagine if you hired a new employee and literally they didn't have a single question all day. Because every time they walked up to something, they're like, what do I do at the computer? It was like, oh, that's what I do. And then it says go there. And then they went there. And the answer was there. So at fastcap, that's what we do. Everywhere where you might be confused, like how to fill out an orange bin, right on the orange bins, it says you fill them out like this. These are easy improvements that anyone can find, and it helps everyone succeed. No one can forget. The answer's right there, in your face. Another way we eliminate the need for questions and confusion is what we call crumb trails. So we have a rack location for everything. And these locations are easy to learn. I can teach you in 3 minutes to know what rack is everywhere in the warehouse. And then everything you need to restock, go grab more of, it has what we call a crumb trail, like Hansel and Gretel. It's a numerical location, and it sends you to that rack, and you know right here is where I'm going to get more of what I need. Screws, boxes, whatever it might be. All right, so you guys are watching right now, and I know what you're thinking. You guys are looking at all these, and you're like, these are great ideas. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to copy some of these ideas. I'm going to put crumb trails everywhere, right? Well, that's fine, you can do that. We do them because we think they're great ideas too. But you need to stop. If that's what you're thinking, you're missing the point. It's not about the things. It's about the people. It's about getting all your people to see these things and make these changes. Heard a powerful story recently. One of my friends runs a lean company in Europe, and he had someone come tour him. And when the guy left, he grabbed him by the shoulder and he said, hey, remember, it's about your people. He looked at him and said, yeah, I know, I've heard your stuff. He looked back and he said, but you don't know, because all day you just ran around and you took pictures of things. This is about your people, getting your people engaged and teaching them these concepts so that they can make these improvements. And that is how you will get your employees addicted to making their job easier. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. We have a factory we work with in China, and they make a product for us called a speed brace. And exactly like it looks, it's a metal shelf brace. And when it gets made, it requires 2 tools to shape it. One's a punch press, so that punches it into the right shape. And then it's got screw holes in it, so it requires a drill hole press, and that drill press countersinks all the holes for the screws to go in. And so we walked in the factory, and there's that guy sitting in his punch press running speed brace parts. And every time he finishes one, he's tossing it across the factory into a big pile on the floor next to his drill press 15 feet away. And then he goes over to his drill press, he's sitting there, he's bending over, picking them up, drill pressing them, bending over, putting them in a pile down there. And so we understand lean. We don't struggle like that at fastcap. So we thought, hey, we're going to help this guy out, right? We don't want him to struggle like this. So simple, obvious. We got him a cart. We showed him he could take his parts off the punch press and he could stack them on the cart. And then when he's all done, he can just roll the cart over next to the drill press. No bending over, so much easier. And while we were there that day, he kept using the cart, and it seemed like he liked it. Then we went home, we got dinner, went to bed, and we came back to the factory the next day. And what do you think we found? Speed braces on the floor next to the punch press. And the cart? We don't know where the cart went either, just gone. So why? What's the issue? The issue is that we did it for him instead of teaching him. So he had no understanding of what the benefit was. He didn't even understand that it might be faster, it might save his back. No one explained it to him. And because of that, he also wasn't involved. He wasn't part of making the process. And so he had no pride. Absolutely no pride in it. In fact, he was more proud of how good he was at sitting at this punch press and throwing parts into a really nice pile. That's a process he came up with. And because of that, he absolutely was not addicted to making improvements and making his job better. You have to work with your people and train your people. How do you convince people they want to improve? Tell them you want them to make their job easier. You don't want them to work so hard. You want them to do less effort. Here's an example at fastcap. This is our shipping department, and where stuff goes into our UPS truck. Before, every item that came off the scale with a shipping label, carrying it all the way into the UPS truck. Heavy box, put it down, back and forth, right? And they said, we hate this. They came up with this conveyor belt system and these roller balls. So now they push it off the scale onto the conveyor belt. It all pushes down in the truck, and someone stands there, and they just unload, just like that. It's easier for them. Who doesn't want to make their job easier? We also tell them to fix what bugs them. So this is Peter. Peter's the head of our injection molding department. You'll see two videos here. They might be a little small on the screen, but on the left, you'll see that there's these two black knobs. And so this is a material dryer, and when we dumps material out of the dryer, ready to use, into a bucket to go in the mixer, the stuff was hitting those two black knobs, and it was flying all over the floor. And so every day, 3 or 4 times a day actually, he'd have to go over there and he'd have to vacuum up the floor and get back in all the little cracks. And he really did have to do it 3 or 4 times a day. I don't know if you guys have ever walked across injection molding plastic granules, but if you've played Mario Kart, they're like the bananas. You hit one of those and so you gotta keep it clean. So what did he do? He just made this simple little PVC tube, screwed a little piece onto it so it fits in there, and it makes it so the plastic doesn't hit the knobs. And now there's no mess on the floor. And he saved himself vacuuming 3 or 4 times a day. He loves it, and he has more time to make more cool improvements like this because we empowered him to do this. And you think when he accomplished that, he was just like, oh, I'm so happy now? No, he's like, what else can I do? Where else can I stop vacuuming? That's getting them addicted to making their job easier. Another cool thing one of our employees came up with is color coding our bags. So use all the bags, and you're using 5x9 bags. You need to go replenish them. It's got the crumb trail. It tells you where the bag rack is, where to go. So you walk over there, and you're like, 5x8, I need 5x8, I need 5x8. And then someone's like, hey, how was your weekend? You talk to them for 10 seconds. You get to the bag rack. Was it 5x8 or was it 5x9? I know it was 5 by something. Which one? So you go all the way back to where you were, 5x9, right? But they just color coded them. So now when you get there, it's like, oh, it was definitely the white bag, not the brown bag. And this is just, our people came up with this because they were tired of getting frustrated and confused and running all over. Another way that we've implemented color coding is Peter came up with the system injection molding. So we have these auto-loading hoppers that load the material into the top of the machine, so someone else doesn't have to climb up there with a bucket and risk falling off. And there's little switches that go with all of them. There's tons of hoses. So Peter just took electrical tape and he wrapped the hoses and he wrapped the switches. So now if you need to load the blue part, you know it's the blue switch and it goes where the blue hose is going. No more confusion. Funny story, actually, we recently got 2 new injection molding machines, and I ordered more auto-loading hoppers for them. And when they showed up, we had a new guy in the injection molding department that we just promoted back there. And he was opening up the boxes, and he came up to me, kind of frustrated. He was like, Lucas, man, you screwed up. Like, what do you mean? You didn't get the color-coded hoses this time. We need the color-coded hoses. Like, no, that's something we came up with. No one else thinks this way. It is that easy. They should sell them color-coded. But this is just us using our brains. And when you do stuff like this, instead of having to think about stuff, what size bag, where's that hose go, you have time to think and use your brain for what it's meant for, which is solving problems. Another cool one that our office people came up with. This is a project we have called a handle on demand. It's basically just a suction cup lifter. So you can lift glass panels with it. And we had our people in our office getting calls every day about the handle on demand. And they would just roll their eyes and they'd be like, well, I'm sorry, did you take the plastic cover off the suction cup? And the customer's on the phone. Oh, I'm an idiot. No, yeah, it works now. Okay, bye. So our people are wasting their time. Our customers feel stupid. None of it's good, right? But since our people are empowered to make these changes and they like making their jobs easier, people in the office went to the people in our graphics department and they changed the box and they changed the website. And it's just this easy. Now it says, remove plastic cover cap before use. Now we don't get calls anymore. That is continuous 2-second improvement. And these improvements, I hope you've seen, they don't have to be expensive. They don't have to cost money. A lot of people push back against starting lean because they think it's going to be so expensive. But we train our people, use your brain, not your wallet. So here's an example from our injection molding department. When you're doing injection molding, you got a mold that shoots hot plastic into it. And so to get the plastic to cool, you got to run cold water through the mold, right? So on our brand new $3,000 injection molding machine, this is the water manifold that came on it. It's plastic piece of crap, honestly. And on day 3, we blew it up, literally water all over Peter's face because it couldn't handle the heat. And so we looked online and we looked on the main injection molding websites, and we found this is the standard example of what everybody uses. It's about $430 plus shipping. You got to buy your own little nozzles you put in there, and it's metal, so it works. But instead of buying that, we said, we can do better. And so here's what we came up with. For $100 or less, some galvanized pipe from the hardware store. And the big benefit of it is if you look, see the long nozzles up on the left? They're easy to reach. You're not struggling to get the water line plugged in down there. And then see on the right, there's 2 nozzles pointed down. Because when we're done running the mold, you got to clear all the water out of the system. And the standard is you take an air gun and you hook it up and you try to blow it all out. But since we made our own, we just open those 2 on the bottom and we drain it all out. So it's cheaper and it's easier. That's using your brain, not your wallet. Bob Taylor of Taylor Guitars actually came in and visited us one time, and he taught us a concept that really resonated with all the rest of these. And so it's one of our fastcap principles I want you guys to remember when you go home. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. That means don't not start because you think you're not going to have the perfect solution. And don't even try to build the perfect solution the first time. Because if you do, down the road you're going to figure out, no, I don't really like that about it, I don't really like that about it, and you're going to make a new one anyway. So when you think of something, just jump in and do it. For example, when we start building a build station, like this is something we're assembling that just takes a nut and a wing bolt and a label, we literally just get out a hot glue gun and some cardboard and we play arts and crafts and put it together and start trying it. And then we realize, no, I'd rather have this here and this here. And it's easy to change because we did it simply. And eventually we'll make it nice, but first we figure out what works. We have an analogy about making improvements that it's like climbing a mountain. So if you look at a mountain range and you want to get to the top of it, because that's where we're all trying to go with our company is up, right? You see the highest peak. If you try to go straight up that, well, it's steep, it's treacherous, you might fall and die, but you might make it. But you know what happens when you make it? You realize that's not the top. You look across the valley, and there's a bigger mountain out over there. Now you got to go all the way down, all the way back up again. So instead we say, climb the ridgeline, take small steps, climb the easiest peak you can see. Look around from there, and you'll have a better idea of where you're going. I showed you guys the 11th finger product that we assemble. Well, when we started assembling it, we made an injection mold, and we had to get the magnets in. So we basically just take a stack of magnets, and you push 2 magnets in there. And let me tell you, this product became popular. People go home complaining, my thumb hurts from pushing the magnets in. And they come to work the next day, and they, no, I can't build those. My thumb still hurts from yesterday. So what do? We made small improvements. So first, we came up with this little 3D printed thing that went on your thumb, saved your thumb from pain. It was kind of like a Pez dispenser, and you push the magnets in with that guy. But then it was hard to really push them in very hard, so we came up with the idea to put a little toggle clamp on a board, and then you toggle clamp them in, so they're pressed in there hard. Well, once we came up with using the toggle clamp, we just kept thinking, and we said, hey, we can make that even better. So we made these little hoppers that hold the magnets and put 2 toggle clamps. So now you just press them in with the toggle clamps. We made it first out of wood, cheap. Then we made a metal one once we broke the wood one. But you know what? We didn't even stop there. We said, hey, even this is a little annoying, right? And so we came up with using little pneumatic cylinders. They're like $30 each. They're on a foot pedal. Now you just put it in and you step on the pedal and it's done. That's what the analogy of climbing the mountain is. It's one little step at a time. But you know what? We didn't even stop there. We said, hey, these little pneumatic presses, they are awesome. And we like using them, and they're cheap, and now we know how to use them. So we took them and we put them all over the place. Now we have like 5 different jigs that use little pneumatic presses because we came up with the idea and we said, hey, we like it. And people enjoy building this stuff. And they're like, hey, that one's fun. I want to build that one. I want to put that one together. We have even got into programming little Arduinos with sensors. We put them on toggle clamps, so you don't have to clamp the clamps. And this one, I don't actually have videos of the whole process all the way through, but when you take that analogy and you just take stuff one step at a time, you come up with awesome stuff like this. So this is another product we have, injection molded. They're just little tiny things called Euro door stops, and we sell them in a 10-pack. And so at first, people would sit there and they'd count 10 into a bag, and they were building 200 of those. Do you think we had defects? Yeah, we had defects. People start talking, they quit counting. It's all wrong, always. But through lots of small little steps, we came up with this jig. It probably cost us 15, 20 bucks, honestly. It's just cheap, thin MDF glued together, a little electric motor, and some 3D printed gears. And now you put a label on the bag, you stick it underneath there, you push the button, and you get 10 every time. Now, who's tried to plug in a USB before? Do you guys know the process? I think it's this way. Nope, definitely not. This is the right way, right? I'm going to tell you guys what a Poka Yoke is. Basically, idiot proofing. At fastcap, we don't struggle to plug our USBs in because we have made it this easy. There's a little red dot, and the little red dot matches up with the little red dot. So then you know this is the right way. I'm doing it right. Now, this isn't actually a true Poka Yoke, because if I don't look at the red dots, I can still do it wrong. So we train people, there's 3 types of solutions. A C solution is something you have to be trained on. You have to memorize it. Like, hey, the white label goes down when I plug this USB in here. A B solution is a visual control, where as long as you look at the visual, then you will do it right. So the red dot, as long as I look at the red dot, I'll do the red dot right. But an A solution would be something like a USB-C. It goes in both ways. You literally cannot do it wrong. So we're always striving to try to find A solutions, but we're always implementing any solution that we can. Another example of us struggling through this is a build where we have to shrink wrap 2 things together and do a little kit. And so to run the shrink wrapper, we have a pedal on the floor. The problem is, we have this wire-guided forklift, and it goes down the aisle where we build this. It has very little clearance on either side of it. And so when someone went to break or went to lunch or went off to go to the bathroom, they'd forget, they'd leave their pedal on the floor. And then here comes the forklift, crunch, pedal gone, 30 bucks every time, crunch. So our people started thinking, what can we do? And everyone got involved, and they said, hey, we're just gonna run some experiments, see what works. So they came up with this little yellow card, they Velcroed it on there, and they call it their personal Poka Yoke card. And so when they put the pedal on the floor, they'd put the bright yellow card on the counter. Then hopefully when they walked off, they'd see the bright yellow card. Crunch, didn't work. Crunch, more pedals. So they kept thinking. They came up with the necklace. The necklace is annoying. You walk away wearing this necklace, you're gonna remember, right? Well, it was actually the girl that came up with the necklace. Called me one day when she was on break. She was in her car, and she says, Lucas, I'm wearing my necklace, it didn't work, you have to go move my pedal. But they just kept trying. The system we have now, there's this little holder for the pedal with a sensor in it. When you pull the pedal out, sensor sees that there's no pedal, and it lights up this bright light on the racking pole at the end of the aisle. So when the forklift's going to go in the aisle, there's this bright white light in his face, and he says, don't crunch the pedal. And you know what, I'm sure we're gonna keep improving this 5 times more from here. But for right now, this is working a lot better. And it's just everybody being involved and everybody trying. And how'd they accomplish this? Something we call lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is taking an idea that already exists and just using it for something else. So this is a product we actually sell, but we came up with the system for ourselves, putting a little sensor, so when we deliver Kanban cards, a bright light way up in the air that you can see from anywhere in the whole building, so the person that collects the cards knows to go get them. And so they just took this product that we actually came up with the system, then made it a product and sell it, and they took it and they figured out how to use it for something else. Use it to mark that the pedal was in the aisle, because they're always engaged and using their brains. And when I say easy is easy, I mean it's easy, you guys. So this is Mark. Mark comes from a company we work with called Cascade Connections. And they empower people with disabilities to be able to get out of the house and get into the workforce and feel some pride in their life. And so Mark comes with a handler because he is 100% blind, and even with his hearing aid, probably about 80% deaf. And so he needs help with his walker getting in the front door. But he loves coming to fastcap. He loves working. He comes in on Tuesdays, and when he walks in that front door, he just starts yelling, Tuesday, Tuesday. He's so excited. And he needs his handler to help him get him over to his table. But once he gets there, because we get lean, because we get these improvements, we've standardized the process. We've marked out where everything goes. It's always in the same place. And Mark's been able to learn by muscle memory to take our injection molded products, put them in bags, and put labels on them. And we even pay him for it. And everyone loves Mark, and all the forklift drivers know. He loves beeping. Every time someone drives by him on a forklift, they know to honk. And he can actually hear it really well. It's so cute. He sits there and he goes, beep, 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 while he's putting stuff in the bag. This is what Lean will do for you. Lastly, if you teach your people Lean at work, they're going to have a better life at home. So you guys have probably figured out by now, I like mountain biking. So when I get off work, I like to go ride on my local trails. When I first started at fastcap, I'd get home, and it would take me probably 15 minutes. I'd be grabbing all my stuff, getting it together, throw it in the car. I'd drive 10 minutes to the trail, and I'd get there and I'd be like, crap, forgot my shoes, or forgot my helmet. Now I can't even ride my bike today. I'd drive 10 minutes back home. Remember that principle I said is my favorite one? Valueless motions are equal to shortening one's life. I lost an hour of my life every time that happened. Well, now because I get Lean, I have the system where I go home, I can get everything in my car in under a minute and know that I'm not forgetting anything. In fact, I was bragging to a friend of mine who lives across the country and also loves Lean, telling him how good my setup was. He said, oh, but man, you gotta see mine. It's literally right by my trunk. I get home, I can grab everything, any sport I wanna go do. I have it in my car and ready to go in 60 seconds. He called it his gone in 60 seconds setup. But you know what? It's not just sports, it's everything. My process for changing my oil at home when I get home. So fast, so easy, no struggle. And even this laptop I'm using right now to present. Remember the USB-C? You see these little stickers on top? Who hates bending over to see where the little port is when they're plugging stuff in? Came up with this improvement. You just put a sticker. You don't have to bend over. So remember, it's this easy. Invest in training your employees to fix what bugs them, empower them to make those changes. Then, create clear, easy processes that are easy for them to succeed at. And lastly, get them addicted to making their jobs easier. So I hope now you've seen that Lean is really not rocket science, but hopefully I've given you a tool like a rocket that'll launch you to the moon, maybe even Mars. It's just up to you guys to figure out how to get your people on board. Thank you.
That's outstanding. I think my biggest takeaways are definitely like think, don't copy. I remember the first time we started using Poka.
I was begging Bruce, and it's Steven. Hey guys, can you show me a screenshot of all of your status actions, and can you send me the templates of what you're doing? And what I learned, and they were like, yeah, here's this, but you have to make it for yourself. You have to learn that. You have to solve your own problems. And that, man, that's an incredible takeaway. We have a real gift. Lucas's mentor is joining us. Let me tell you a little bit about Paul. He's passionate, but he's most passionate about continuous improvement and spreading lean thinking to as many people around the world as possible. Paul doesn't just talk about lean. He does it every day with everything from the company he manages to his home and health. And he took it pretty literally. Lucas tells me that Paul used to weigh like 280 pounds, and then he did 2 Ironmans. So now he's leaner. That's bad. You know, he has his pilot's license. He started kite surfing and then became a kite surfing instructor. And man, I'm excited to hear. So I'm gonna try to run around. So if you have questions, they're going to try to provide answers. Without further ado, Paul and Lucas, like Paul, if you want to say a little bit, and let's make sure, can you hear us?
Oh yes, I can hear you perfectly. You know, my comment is, Lucas laid it out absolutely so eloquently how to do this. He gave countless examples of how we apply lean thinking, as opposed to the way traditionally it's taught in the textbooks with value stream mapping and all the other tools that most people get caught up in, and then just the experts end up doing it, not the actual people. My favorite quote is Richio Shingo. Lucas mentioned him, that he had been mentored by him as well. Well, Richio is a very good friend of mine. I just spent the last 5 weeks with him here in Japan, because that's where I am right now. And when I asked him this question, what is lean? He said the most profound thing to me. He said, the Toyota production system is simply this: the accumulation of small ideas from everyone. That's it. if you can create a culture where people are willing to bring you their ideas because they're not afraid of failure or being told they're stupid, but you allow them to run the experiment and see what happens, you're going to create a dynamic culture. That's all there is to it. That's all we've done, and that's all tens of thousands of companies around the world who are practicing 2-second lean have done. It's a really simple equation. That's the beauty of it, and that's why people are attracted to it, because it is that simple, and that's really what Toyota's doing.
That's awesome. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to try to stump our speaker? This sounded funny in my head. Apparently it didn't land very well.
Hey, Paul and Lucas, thanks for all the content that you guys put out. Been watching you guys for the last 5 years. We try to implement Grateful Fors, and we'll watch one of your videos. And it seems like when we go to talk to our employees about it, we get a bunch of like crickets and kind of like looking at our feet and kind of, not much going on. And it's just kind of been like last 5 years been just my business partner and I just kind of pushing things, and we kind of try to do the training, and then it's kind of like we do it, then we kind of fall back off. So I don't know, what am I doing wrong, and where am I missing out? Thanks.
I think that a big thing is being energetic about it. For one, you got to get them excited about it, and you got to lead by showing your back. So if you're doing it every single day and you're excited about what you're accomplishing, you don't have to talk to them about it so much, as they're going to see that energy, they're going to see that excitement, and they want to follow that. And that's something Paul's really displayed a lot for me is, doing an improvement every day, sometimes it can be a little hard. You get a little rut, and you're like, my improvement's just putting a label on it, and I'm struggling. But when someone else next to you is like, oh my God, look, I did this, and it's so awesome. Like, even if it's something small, just them being that excited about it, it really gets you on board, it gets you excited about it.
My name is Mark Kendi from Somerville Printing in Boston, Massachusetts. My question is, with the lean process, how does that work for employees that feel underpaid or not underpaid, but feel underpaid, so they're not as happy in the work environment?
I think that makes sense. So you're asking if they feel like they're underpaid and so they're struggling to enjoy working for you, how do you get them on board with wanting to do lean? How do you get them to care? Get them to understand that lean's going to make everybody more money. They're going to have more free time, and when someone quits, instead of replacing them, they're going to have more time from doing all these improvements. They're going to be able to take on these more jobs, and instead of hiring new people, that person who's underpaid, all of a sudden, he's going to be able to have more responsibility. He's going to be able to be paid more. And it's the people who at fastcap are making the improvements, the ones who are engaging their brain always to figure out how to make it better. They're the ones that we give more responsibility when it becomes available, because they're the ones that are going to make that job easier. Like at fastcap, I've worked myself through probably 8 different jobs. I started out just doing assembly on stuff. And I've worked through the inventory job. We had someone leave. I said, I can make that process better. I did inventory for like a year, and I made it better and easier. And then moved out of that, handed it over to someone else. And if people are really engaged on making things better, they're going to save you time, and you're going to be able to give them more responsibility and give them more money. It's hard to get them to understand that, but once they do, the ones that do, those are the people you want to keep. They're going to kick butt. Does that answer it? Okay.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Eric. I'm with a company called Night Owls. I've followed what you all have done for several years, and so it's awesome to hear you talk more about this. One thing I've often wondered about lean, specifically with fastcap, even from like the Toyota way, it's often used in a situation where, like, our industry is a very high variable industry. So for instance, when we're custom manufacturing, I would say probably a lot of us here, we might be doing things where we're like custom making something as small as 12 pieces or 50 pieces, right? It seems like a lot of what's happening at fastcap is you all are making, I don't want to say bulk, but you're making bulk widgets, if you will, that are part of maybe something larger, a part of a kit, and things like that. And that's a little bit different than the most of what a lot of us here produce. So I'm wondering, if we've been able to reduce a lot of our variables, what other advice would you have for micro-manufacturing?
I mean, I think that a lot of manufacturing, even if you're doing one-offs, a lot of the process is the same. Like, you have certain variables that you're changing to do your 12 versus the other 12, but a lot of what you're doing, like a lot of the setup, what tools you're using, where the tools are, that's all still the same, right? So focus on how to eliminate waste in all those processes that stay the same first. And then you'll find that it's easier to do small things. And think about single minute exchange of dies. And like, how do you take those concepts and apply, pulling when the machine's running, I can only do these things, but I can have all this set up to go in the machine for the next run while it's running so that my changeover time is less.
Hey guys, this is Tony with Tiny Fish Printing. My question is kind of, how big was the company when you guys, what were the main problems that brought you to the lean methodology or brought you to go down that journey? Kind of how big was the company? And then how long do you think before you really people started kind of understanding where your vision was, and how long to get people on board?
Let me try to have Paul answer that one, because I wasn't there back then, so he's going to have a better answer for you. So Paul, did you hear the question?
Yeah, I think I heard it. So the answer is really simple. The first 3 months were hell. Nobody wanted to do it, and everything was difficult. It was just difficult. And then after 3 months, between the 3 and 6 month period, I began to see small glimmers of hope. And people realized that I was serious. This is a very important point right here. And this is why lean doesn't work, is because the top leader gives up. The top leader doesn't see it all the way through. And I was relentless. And the reason why I was relentless, and this is very important because I'm in Japan, I just led my Japan study missions. I've trained over 800 top leaders around the world here. Is because when I came here, I walked through Lexus, as Lucas just walked through Lexus. And once you see what they're doing, you realize how absolutely incompetent you are as a leader and as a manufacturer. And so I was determined to see this through. I saw a new standard. I saw the contrast between what I was doing and what they were doing. And I was already an award-winning manufacturer. I wanted to start a business of the year. I was making over $1 million a year. Everything was going great for me. Everybody wanted to join my company. I was a superstar. And then I went to Japan and found out I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So I had a clear vision of where I was going and what I wanted to accomplish. So even though the people in the first 3 months didn't want to do it, I had my eye on the ball. And the next 6 months, from 3 to 6 months, I began to see a little bit of change. Enough change to think that I could see this through. And between 6 months and 9 months, I had quite a few people on board. By 1 year, I had companies touring me from all over the United States saying, "This is amazing what you've accomplished here." And at that point, it was over with. But it took a lot of fortitude on my part to see it all the way through. And the reason I was able to do that is because I had such a clear contrast of what was possible. Did that answer your question?
Hi, Cameron Johnson from Superior Printing down in Denver, Colorado. When it comes to implementing new lean processes between different departments, have you found it beneficial to educate your customers on being more efficient and lean and making the process easier on the logistical side, so it's more of a better customer experience for them on that end?
Absolutely. We teach it to everyone we can. Customers, vendors, anybody we work with. And we have people come into our building to tour it all the time, to learn it. And we like to ask our customers too, like, what can we do to make your part of this interaction better? Like, how could your experience have been better by us changing a process? So absolutely, everybody you can work with. And that's a huge thing with Toyota. When you go and visit Toyota and Lexus, like, they're Toyota and Lexus, and they're working with all these other companies that make the parts for them and supply them to them, right? Every one of these companies, it has to be lean. In fact, they require that a company, when they first come out with, say, a Toyota Camry, and you're making, the seat for the Toyota Camry, the first year, they're willing to pay you a certain amount, but they require you every year to be able to drop that price slightly. The car's not as new, it's not as exciting to people, so they're not getting the same amount for it, and they know that if you're implementing these things and you're making changes and improvements, you're going to be able to cut the cost. And so you don't get to keep being a supplier if you can't do that.
My name is Ben from Ohio, hometown apparel. First of all, I just want to clear up something. I misunderstood you earlier. I've cleaned many bathrooms in my life. I go on record for that.
Gordon, I was hoping you had all the
Still
answers
do
for
that
me.
sometimes. No, I really appreciate
Turn that
what
on
you
right
said
there.
about your culture, about how when you have an employee that makes a mistake, the first thing you do is you turn to your processes, which really creates a safe place to work. So we try to do that as well. But is there a point where you cross a line, and what line is that when something just becomes human error? And if so, how do you address human error in a place that focuses on processes?
I mean, yes, absolutely. And, we all struggle with defects and where to draw that line. And, if you have a good enough process, the question is really not, was it human error, as much as it's, why did you not follow the process? Because once you put a good enough process in place, the process won't let you make an error, right? And so when you have people who continue to make errors, you have to have that hard conversation. You have to go talk to them, and you have to say, hey, do you know the process? Yeah. Okay, explain the process to me. Okay, and so if you did that process, do you think you would have made this error? No. So why are you not following the process? And you can give them once or twice, okay, I get it, I'll follow the process. But if they keep refusing to follow the process and it's a good process, you could ask them too, is there any way I can make this process better? Is there a reason you don't want to follow the process? But if they have no answers and they're just like, I don't know, I don't care, and I'm not following your process, some people got to go,
This is Justin with Simplified in Detroit. We recently just started kicking around the idea of putting the 5S system into place, which I know this is very similar. So a part of the process for us is looking at our staff and seeing how this fits into this program. In your experience, is there a characteristic when you're hiring, is there something you look for? Is there like a common trait in the people that you think will make them more likely to buy in and be a part of the system?
Honestly, to me, a big one is asking people what they like to do outside of work. If people like to tinker with things, like to try to improve things, like to be motivated to do things outside of work, I found that to be a very beneficial person who, when they come to work, is willing to do all these things. But I want to see if Paul has more to say on that. Paul?
It was a little difficult for me to hear the question. Could you repeat it real quick, Lucas? Then maybe I'll be able to...
So the question was, they're starting to implement 5Sing, and he's asking when they're hiring, is there certain things, characteristics that we look for in people that we think are going to make them more successful in this culture?
Well, for sure. And the number one question I ask people is, who's the most influential person in your life? And if I asked Lucas that question, I'm sure he would reply his father. His father's had a big impact on him. So when people reply to me, their father, their mother, their grandfather, their grandmother, generally that's a good indication that they have the insight to understand that older people might have something to contribute to their life. If they tell me it's their girlfriend, I'm probably not as apt to want to hire them, to be completely honest with you. I think people, and then the second characteristic is grateful. A lot of times when I'm interviewing people, I remember I asked this guy one time, what's the most important thing for you? And he told me chocolate. And I was just like, okay, chocolate, eh? And I've asked many other people the same question. They said, what's most important? That, my parents, what my parents have done for me, they've sacrificed. They've worked really hard. This tells me that people understand the importance of a work ethic and just being grateful about what's been given them in life and the opportunities that have been put before them. If they exude a grateful attitude about things as I can probe them, that is certainly helpful for me to know that they're probably going to turn out to be a good person. But we have a very unique hiring process at fastcap because people can get by you. The first thing someone has to do is they have to do a 1 to 2 minute video holding the phone horizontally and telling me about themselves. Once I get that video, I'll pass that video on to Lucas or my wife. They'll watch it. If they think the candidate looks good, then we'll ask them to come in for an interview. And then if they pass the interview, we're not accepting any resume at this point. We don't even look at resumes, they're all lies, we don't even care about a resume. And then we'll bring them for an interview, and if they still seem good, then we'll offer them a test day, we'll pay them for that day. And during that day, they're working with different people throughout our facility. We bring the people in at the end of the day and find out whether or not they feel they would be a good candidate to go to a test week. If we don't get 100% from those people that work with them, then we won't offer them the test week. Then we offer them the test week if they pass. And then after 1 week, we bring all the people in that work with them because we move them all around the facility working with different people. And again, if we don't get 100% from the people who they've worked with, so essentially our people are hiring the people they're working with, not me, then we won't hire them. And if we do, then we hire them. So we put them to a pretty rigorous process because we want to see how they respond to the pressure of needing to improve and how they follow through with learning the standards, because we have very specific things, the way we do everything, how they do cleaning the bathroom, whether or not they think this is crazy, or cleaning the kitchen, or emptying the dishwasher, or all the variety of different things we do, which are outside the protocol of what most companies require their people to do. So we're looking at it very carefully to find out what kind of an individual they are.
Hey, this is Vincent from Innovative Printing, New Orleans. My question is, when you're consulting, I guess, some shops who are trying to adopt a lean method, how often is it that you recommend just changing personnel versus just keep pushing through until they just get it over time?
Lucas, you want me to take that question?
Yeah.
So I believe the question was, when do we make the decision to change the personnel or just keep pushing through? Was that the question?
When you're consulting other shops who are trying to start implementing lean, how often do you tell them that they need to push through versus change the personnel, correct?
Unfortunately, I couldn't hear that. You have to do that one more time. I couldn't hear what that part about consulting. What was that?
So when you're consulting other companies who are trying to start doing lean, how often do you tell those other companies to push through and keep trying to make it work versus change their personnel because the personnel is just not working?
Well, the personnel issue is really simple. I bring people in, Lucas has heard me say this to people many times. I will spend all the money in the world teaching and training you. I'll send you to Japan. I send 24 of my people to Japan. I'll send them to Europe. I send people all over the world training them. Well, there's nothing I won't do to train you. And I'll sit and explain everything to you. I'll make changes for you. But the minute you don't want to change, the minute you don't want to improve personally, and I'm spending all my time, my money, and my resources doing that, then you need to find another place to work.
I have a question. Lucas, maybe you can answer this. Paul, maybe you can answer this. Tell me about the competency testing with a phone held horizontally for a minute and a half. What are you doing? What's the secret sauce?
The secret sauce is everyone who's applying for a job, they've all made a resume. They've sat there with their mom, dad, girlfriend, everyone who can help them, and they put together the perfect lie. And when they go to apply to your company, they don't even know who you are or what you do or why they want to work there. But when you make them take their phone out and make a minute and a half video.
Oh, selfie.
It says, hi, I'm this person and I want to work for your company because, and I looked up who you are, and I know who you are, and I know why I want to work for you. You get a whole different set of people. And you'd be surprised how many people give you a resume and we say, no, I need to take 90 seconds and make a video. They just don't even want a job anymore. You don't want those people to work for you.
That's brilliant. Is there, and if you don't mind sharing, Paul, Lucas, is there, if anybody has any more questions after this or they want to connect with you guys, can they find you on social media or emails, or how can we pester you guys with pesky screen printing and embroidery questions?
Do you want me to answer that, Lucas?
Sure.
So I have people contacting me from around the world every day. I get hundreds of messages. I don't do email. Don't send me an email. I will respond back to it, but it will be very short. And I'll basically tell you to either get on WhatsApp, Signal, or Boxer. Those are 3 platforms that I communicate with you with an audio message. And my cell phone number is 360-941-3748. It's on my website. Everybody can access me. I have no assistant that's screening anything. My customers can get directly to me because my phone number, my cell phone number is on our website.
Oh, so it's the best, by the way, you guys. We have customers. Hold on.
Go ahead.
So he does have his number everywhere. We have customers who, they have a small problem. They should really just call the office and we take care of them. And instead they call Paul Akers personally in Japan. They're like, hey, I got this little tiny defect. And we're like, we could have fixed it. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, no, and I will respectfully answer and deal with their thing and get them in touch with someone who can help them immediately. And I'm not put off by any of that. I want to be in touch with my customers. That's how come we are the company we are, is because it's a flat company. And I don't have an office. I stand up with everybody else in the customer service area, and there's no sign of the president on the wall. I don't have anything like that. I don't want anything like that. It's a very simple thing. So, yeah, anybody can access me very easily.
So even your communication has been leaned out. There's a process, and it's...
I tell people that we are so lean that, we're a decent-sized company. We do tens and tens of millions of dollars and 800 products in 40 countries. And we have no marketing department. We have no sales department. We have 2 customer service people answering phone calls. We have no janitorial company. We have no HR department. We have no financial department. We have 6 people in an office managing tens of millions of dollars every day. There's no company like what we're doing because we don't think the way anybody else thinks. I mean, how many people do you know that the president's cell phone number is on the website? You can call him anytime, day or night. Call me at 2 o'clock in the morning and my phone rings and I hear it and I'm not delivered, so I'll answer it and take care of it.
That's how me and Ryan Moore got to know each other. Tyler Dummett too. I found the president's phone number and called him, and here we are. So, hey, we're gonna thank you. Can we give a round of applause to Paul and to Lucas?
Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Remember, like and subscribe and pass this on to other people. Let's change the world together. And remember my app, 2 Second Lean Play. It's all free and it has all my books in the audio version as well as some other great authors. You're really going to enjoy it.
Brought to you by paulakers.net, where you'll find all Paul's books and lean resources for free, including the new 2 Second Lean Play app, like Audible, but free. To listen to Lean is Lean on the 2 Second Lean Play app at paulakers.net.